Hello and welcome once again to my cigar review. I've decided to entitle this entire series Scorpion Cigar Reviews. The Scorpion name has been attached to myself. It's kind of a long story. I won't get into it at this particular time, but maybe one day I'll cover that. Kind of a nickname that stuck with me, and I just picked it up and ran with it. Once again, it's another rainy day. 60 degrees, 99% humidity. But I'm relatively comfortable. I try to spend as much time outside as I can. Once the weather turns really nasty, I'll move indoors to my cigar lounge and enjoy my cigars in there once winter sets in. Today I have a Camacho LegendArio in the Toro size. It was $6.50 at my local tobacconist. Very dark wrapper, kind of rough, feels kind of rough. Hope that's not going to be a problem. I've had wrappers before that had this very rough, almost felt like somebody had coated it, and the whole time I smoked it I could taste the glue that they used, so I hope that's not the case with this. It doesn't seem to be quite as rough as that cigar that I had smoked that was just absolutely coated in glue, but has a triple cap. I can see there's lots of glue on that cap. I just hope this isn't going to be an issue, because actually I like these cigars. I've smoked the LegendArio before, and I was quite pleased. It's a dark, veiny wrapper. Cigar, it's a little bit lumpy. It's not an absolute perfect construction. I can see a little dog leg in it there, almost. Some spots are slightly thicker than others. Feels like maybe there's a stem or something under it about halfway. Pleasant odor on the foot. Nothing too harsh. Not even making me sneeze, which is unusual. Usually when I sniff the foot I sneeze. Not sure why. Not why I do, but the I'm not really picking up anything off this wrapper. Just very, very mild, maybe tea. Not sure. There's hardly any scent coming off the wrapper, and the foot, cocoa-y. Some like baker's cocoa maybe, with a slight hint of maybe some cumin, maybe some spice. I'm not sure. Very mild. Today I'll be using my V cutter. Snip off the end. I've seen on various videos where they switch back and forth from one type of cutter to another. I don't know if there's any particular reason why you would choose one over another. Many claim that the V cutter is the superior cut. Not sure if I necessarily agree or disagree. If I smoke a smaller ring gauge cigar, I guess I would tend to use a basic guillotine cutter. A large gauge cigar, I would probably use the V cut, and something in between, I'd probably use my punch. I tend to like my punch best, just my own personal preference. No particular reason. Everybody's got their own preference of what they like to use. That's what I like to use. The pre-draw. Getting some pepper, maybe that cumin spice, maybe. Maybe a slight hint of white pepper. Anyway, today I've opted to go to my drink of choice, the cognac. I think in one of the previous videos I may have had an error when I was talking about the various high test alcohols. I think I said 40 proof. What I meant to say was 40%, which would be 80 proof. And I didn't catch it until I'd already posted it on YouTube that I had that error. So to all the distilleries out there, my apologies. This is a 40% alcohol, which is 80 proof. A brown liquor. It's for those of you that aren't familiar with cognac, it's actually distilled from grapes. They make basically a wine and then distill it to raise the alcohol, as opposed to a whiskey, which comes from various grains and that type of thing. But cognac is my drink of choice. So we'll get this lit. Once again, I'm using my Burns-O-Matic torch. It's actually used for small welding and not welding, but like different things with pipe fitting, with like sweating pipes, and I suppose you'd use it for soldering, that type of thing. I actually picked it up at my local home improvement store. It can be a bit tricky to light sometimes, not sure why. Plenty of fuel there. Turn that flame down. We'll just kind of toast the end of it here a little bit. I don't want to absolutely scorch it, but I've tried various ways. I've tried natural flame. I've tried these triple flame torch lighters, jet lighters, whatever you may call it. And this, of course, is a jet flame type torch, whatever you know. Some of the experts claim that you don't want to light it too quick. You just want to toast the end of it. However, eventually you're sucking all the heat into it and lighting everything anyway. I don't see how burning the end of it too quickly would damage the cigar in any way. As long as you're not all out setting half the stick on fire trying to light it. Nice even light there, looks pretty good. Like I said, I've had this before. It's come in various wrappers. They come in a... Oh gosh, I better not say because I don't remember what all they come in. I don't want to be mistaken and somebody have a big fit. I tend to go for the darker colored wrappers in general on most of my cigars. I've tried the lighter ones. I'm told that just because it's a lighter wrapper doesn't necessarily mean it's a light-bodied cigar or light in flavor or any of that. But my own personal preference, I find that there are some flavors in the lighter colored wrappers that aren't to my taste. So I tend to stay with like a medium or a dark colored wrapper. Initial puffs, nothing real outstanding, no harsh notes. Some cigars, the first half inch or so can be overbearing with spices to the point where it's obtrusive to the senses until it kind of calms down after the first half inch or so. Not the case with this. This is a full body cigar. It's pleasant. Once again, this is the Camacho LegendArio in the Toro size, made by Camacho. I like Camachos. That's one of the reasons why I've chosen this to be a cigar that I pick up from time to time, because I do like this cigar, and I do like the Camacho line in general. But once again, you know, some days a cigar will hit you one way, and you may pick it up a couple weeks later, same cigar, and it may hit you another way. I guess it just all depends on what your taste buds want at the time. I've been told by the experts that you know, the time of day would dictate what type of cigar you smoke. Generally in the morning you would smoke a lighter bodied, in the afternoon a medium, in the evening after dinner you'd smoke a full bodied, you know, whatever. Oh, okay, fine. They also tell you that you're not supposed to drink red wine with fish or chicken, and you're not supposed to drink Chardonnay with steak. Guess what? You drink what you like, you smoke what you like, when you like. So, with that, I'll continue smoking this cigar. It's progressing nicely. The burn is pretty even. No noticeable defects. Maybe a little bit of a little dip in it right there, you can see. But I mean, I wouldn't even consider that a wave. It's just might be starting to wave a little bit, but I'm not seeing any issues. Nice and firm, as it should be. The wrapper itself, in addition to being kind of rough feeling, almost not quite like sandpaper, but maybe a very, very fine, maybe a 220 or a 300 grit or more. Probably even more, probably a 400 grit sandpaper or something. It's very, very fine, but still, there's the fact that there is a bit of a roughness to it, not at all silky feeling. Visible seams, but not real bad, and that wouldn't be a problem anyway. Just sometimes a wrapper, the seam just disappears into the wrapper, and other times it's very pronounced. This is, if you know what to look for, you see it. No big deal. Plenty cool out. Starting to wonder if maybe I should have wore a jacket or maybe a t-shirt underneath my shirt. See what happens. Once again, one of my dogs is out here looking for mice and chipmunks and whatever she can come across, crawling along underneath the furniture and the potted plants and whatnot. Not an excessive amount of smoke coming off this cigar. Perfect draw. Very slight resistance to the draw. Ever so slight. It's not just flowing through like a gaping hole. Yet it's not like I have to put a lot of effort to get a draw. It's right in the middle, right where I like it. I'm actually surprised at how little smoke is coming off the cigar. To just let it sit here and look at it, there's no smoke coming off it at all. But once you take a draw, you get some smoke. And then it quickly dissipates, and it almost looks like it's not even lit. Almost. You get a little bit of smoke going there, but very little smoke comes off this cigar. I'm probably close to an inch into it. Everything seems to be going well still. Maybe starting to develop a little bit of a crack about a ½ inch into it, into the ash. A little bit of waviness starting on the burn. Not much, not bad. I've had to exchange my preferred seat today. Similar style rocking chair, just a little bit different. One that I prefer to sit in. It got wet. It was raining pretty heavily earlier, and it was kind of windy, and the front porch got wet, and so did the furniture. But the chair that I'm sitting in now didn't get the brunt of it, so it's dry other than just the general dampness in the air. I'm sure after sitting here for a while, I start to feel the dampness on my butt and the back side of my legs and whatnot. And I'll probably walk around like that all day, and with a mark on my butt, because I'm an idiot. So, there is a very slight bitterness, which actually surprised me, because as I said, I've had this cigar several times before. I didn't pick up any bitterness. It could be my palate's a little off today. Could be that this was not the cigar for me today. Perhaps I should have chosen a different cigar to smoke. But you don't know until you smoke. Don't know what your palate's going to want all the time. You have a general idea, but sometimes you're wrong. Doesn't mean I'm going to dispose of this cigar or put it out, cut the end off, save it for another time. No, I'll go and I'll continue smoking it. With that, the dog is barking at my wife who's pulling up the driveway, so I'll pause here until the noise calms down. I'll come back and give you a report when I get into the second third of the cigar. Hi, welcome back. Now that the dogs have settled down, the wife's brought the groceries in, and one of the other dogs out now as well. So now I have both dogs out here with me. They're trying to stay out of the rain and watch the animals at the same time, the chipmunks and squirrels and the birds, and you can hear a bird in the background, I guess. Still in the first third, but well into the first third. It's pretty good ash. It's probably, a good 2-inch. Good 2-inch ash. Starting to curve. The ash is starting to curve a little bit, you can see there. No major cracking to the ash. Just based on the length of the ash and the fact that it's got a bit of a curve to it, starting to topple over. I'll probably be ashing this in just a moment here, because it's bound to fall, and I'd rather ash it and enjoy my cigar comfortably than to have to smoke it straight up in the air and try to prevent the ash from falling. I mean, the ash isn't doing me any good. They have these competitions where they see who can get the longest ash. And, okay, fine, but I'm gonna ash this. Just a light tap, it flicked off nicely. Still a fairly even burn, not perfect, but pretty good. Still have a little bit of that sourness there, not quite like a sour grapefruit, but there's a little something almost, not really bitter, but a little bit of a sourness to it, which is something I tend not to care for. maybe a slight bit of leather starting to come through as I reach the end of the first third. I don't know if I'd mentioned it, but the wrapper itself seems very, very dry. Kind of sticking to my lips, like it's sucking the moisture out of my lips as I'm puffing on it. And when I go to pull it out, I can feel it kind of tug on the skin of my lip a little bit. Not real bad. I've had some that just, you know, stuck to it like that movie with the flagpole in winter. You know what I'm talking about. And it's not a Debbie Does movie either. I'm actually kind of disappointed in how the cigar is turning out. Not that it's a bad cigar, it's just not what I had expected from this line of cigar. That bitterness, not bitter, but the sour, that lingering sour finish that I tend not to care for, is a bit of a buzzkill for me. I don't smoke cigars every day. I usually smoke them on the weekend. So I get 2 a week. Every once in a while I just won't feel like smoking one, so I'll only get one that week. Or I may pick one up in the middle of the week. On rare occasion I may smoke 2 in one day. There was a time when I was smoking just about 1 a day, or I may smoke 2 or 3 throughout the day and then skip a couple days and smoke 1 or 2 or whatever. But generally 1 a day on the weekends. Or if I'm off for a holiday or it's my birthday, I'm going to smoke a cigar. Unless I just really don't feel it. Which I suppose could happen. Just going to play it by ear. I don't make it a point to make sure I smoke a cigar on a certain day. I tend to look forward to the weekends and smoking a cigar. And when I get a cigar that I just don't care for, or one that's all out defective, then I'm really disappointed. Now, on a rare occasion, I have been known to not finish a cigar, but very rare. Smoke a cigar, and I'll give it a good chance. Especially if it was an expensive cigar, I'm going to smoke the thing all the way down to the nub, just hoping, praying that somewhere along that cigar will be that piece de resistance that made it worth whatever ungodly amount of money I paid for the cigar. I've smoked the inexpensive cigars that are, you know, $1 a cigar, and they, you know, they're the hand-rolled cigars and everything. And they're usually these off-brands. They call them rejects or counterfeits, or, you know, various terms. Kind of a no-name thing. Mystery cigars. I've actually smoked some mystery cigars that they were good, but they weren't at all complex. There were no specific nuances to the cigar, but it wasn't a bad cigar. I enjoyed it, but I didn't pick up anything from it. But they tend to be reasonably priced and made by a reputable cigar maker. So I do keep several of those on hand, and periodically I'll pull one out and smoke it, see how it's aged in my humidor, see if it starts to pick up some nuances, see what happens with those. And I will be reviewing those in the future. I'm definitely into the second third of the cigar at this point. It's picking up a little bit of a, not harshness, but some strength. Definitely picking up some strength as I exhale through my nose. Sometimes I kind of get, with some cigars, when I exhale through the nose, I'll pick up some flavors, some nuances. Sometimes I'll just get just a lot of power, just so much pepper and power and spice that it'll burn my nose almost. Sometimes even make me sneeze. And then sometimes it'll be somewhere in between, almost like when you get water up your nose when you're in the pool, and just the way it makes your nose feel for a few moments. Sometimes I'll get that, and that was the case here. Almost felt like the sensation you get in your sinuses if you get water up your nose when you're swimming. Not necessarily bad. It's not so overbearing that it just totally turns you off. It's just one of the aspects of smoking a cigar. One of the things that you pick up while smoking a cigar. Doesn't necessarily happen every time, every cigar. Definitely picking up some leather and something else there. I haven't quite determined what it is. Maybe a underlying sweetness way in the back of the finish, just ever so slight. As I chew on the smoke, let it get around all the taste buds. Just let it completely coat the inside of my mouth, my cheeks, my tongue, roof of my mouth, way in the back of towards the throat, into the sinuses. Try to pick up everything that the cigar has to offer. Sometimes it can be difficult to pinpoint something. There's such a wide array going on at one time. Not a real complex cigar. There are some white pepper notes still in there. Long on the finish with the pepper notes now. Well into the second, third. But they're mild. They're not real strong. But I'm still feeling them right now on my tongue, on the back of the tongue, just towards the throat. One thing I've gotten in the habit of doing, as you've seen me on some of the other videos, I'll take the end of the cigar where I've placed my V-cut, and I'm not getting any bitterness on my lips, so I don't suspect to find any nicotine or any juices or anything nasty coming out. Everything looks good. It's not to say that somewhere in the cigar I may end up getting that. I have had cigars where they started off fine, and halfway through I got a lot of juices coming out the end, and I would keep dabbing it with a napkin and continue smoking it, and then you get down to the last little bit, well into the final third, and they're gone, and the rest of the cigar is fine. Those juices can really ruin the experience because of once again, not because of the way it affects the flavor of the smoke, but it'll leave a bitterness on your lips, and it'll be quite unpleasant. Scars like that, I guess I would consider that to be a deficiency, a defect. Maybe not properly cured. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why some only have that in part of the cigar and not all of the cigar. If it was in all of the cigar, then, especially if I had that cigar many times and always got that, then I would assume that it had something to do with the processing, possibly that batch wasn't cured properly. But why it would only be through a small portion of the cigar, I don't know. an uneven amount of curing, possibly. Or maybe it just hadn't been cured quite long enough, and you know, at first glance it looked fine, and you don't know until you roll it and smoke it, and then you know, you get halfway through it, and then, oh, I guess this one wasn't quite ready. But once it's rolled, there's really no more barn curing going on, so it's just it's too late at that point. So I had flicked off that 2-inch ash, and haven't had a flick since, and I've once again now have about a 1-inch ash, and pretty even burn, a little bit of waviness, nothing major. A little bit of white pepper in there still, a little bit of leather. Still a very small amount of sour, but short on the finish this time. So hopefully that little bit of sourness is going away. I don't really care for the sourness. So with that, I'll pause the camera here, and when I get into the final third, I'll be back. All right, so here we are into the final third of the cigar. During the break, the ash that I was currently on broke off when I set the cigar in the ashtray. So about 1 inch of it broke off, and now I have about 1.5 inches on there now. Still a pretty good burn. Hasn't gone out. Haven't had to correct it or relight it or anything, even in the 99% humidity. It's a little bit of waviness, nothing bad. It's mellowed out a little bit. It's definitely I would say medium body, a pretty solid medium. A little bit of leather in there. Very, very mild on the white pepper on the finish, very mild. And perhaps a little bit of that sourness still on the finish. Kind of coated my mouth with a little bit of the grapefruit, but very, very slight. Not enough to really put me off. Still seems to be fine as far as any nicotine juices on the end. It's not at all, nothing nasty coming out of it, so it's a good clean burning cigar. Starting to get some cracks in the ash, nothing major, but just based on how this cigar has burned so far, I'm probably going to have to ash this soon, so it doesn't fall into my lap. I might just go ahead and ash it now just to be on the safe side, so I can continue to enjoy. Yeah, it didn't take much, just a little flip and off it came. Broke off pretty evenly. Nothing that looks like it's going to cause it to go out, which I've had with some cigars. When I flick the ash, it goes out. Not the case here. And once again, I had removed the banding. This had a double band. There was a band all the way on the foot, as well as a band up just below the cap. Those came off pretty easily. They weren't at all stuck to the wrapper, which is sometimes the case with cigars. The Perdomo Lot 23 that I reviewed, the wrapper was slightly stuck, or the banding was slightly stuck to the wrapper, and about halfway through it actually became a problem. It split, and the wrapper started to come unraveled a little bit. Had exposed the binder, but nothing here. As I said, it didn't stick to it at all, so all's good there. Pretty good even burn the whole way through, no issues. Still a dry smoke. It's been a dry smoke the whole way through. That slight sweetness that I had experienced earlier on the finish, it didn't last very long, only for maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches worth of the cigar. exhale through the nose, I got some of the peppery feeling as it entered the sinuses. A little bit of pepper coming through. A little bit of almost a heat to the tongue. Doesn't seem to be burning hot. What's left of it, it's starting to feel a little bit of warmth to it, but not hot at all. Starting to get an uneven burn right there. It may correct itself. I'll see what happens. If not, I'll correct it. I'll give it a moment here. I've found that when a cigar does start to burn unevenly like that, if it doesn't correct itself, the only way to correct it would be to actually correct it with the flame. I've tried positioning the cigar with the unburned portion pointed upwards, hoping that the heat from the ash would cause it to light. Often it doesn't, and I end up with a long portion unburned, kind of dangling off the end of it. And then sometimes I'll either just break that off, or I'll relight it. This doesn't seem to be too big of an issue at the moment. It looks like it might be trying to correct itself, as the end of it is burning. Even on the little end where it's uneven, it's starting to burn. So we might be all right there. It's always nice when it corrects itself. It looks like it is. Picking up a little bit of power on the final third. Still a full solid medium strength, but on this final third, it's maybe trying to linger up to the upper end of medium on the body. A little bit of creaminess coming to the smoke now. Not quite as dry. Getting a little bit of that sour grapefruit going again, but not bad. Not enough to put me off on it. As you can see, the unevenness on the burn, it's still there. However, it has begun to correct itself. You can see right here, this is where it was not burning before, and there's plenty of ash beyond that point now, so it is correcting itself, which is always a good thing. Nice to not have to correct it. I guess part of the problem with having to correct it is the risk of overcorrecting, and then the other side of the cigar begins to burn unevenly, and it's a constant battle sometimes. It's always nice when you don't have to do that. Starting to mushroom top a little bit there. You can see the edges are flaring out on the ash, kind of goofy, but those are the ashes that tend to just kind of float away on you. You find them in your lap when you least expect it. I've been known to maybe try to round that off in the ashtray. I might go ahead and do that just so I don't get ashes in my lap. And you always run the risk, when you try to round those edges off, you run the risk of breaking off the rest of the ash and the cigar goes out. But it didn't seem to be a problem here. Definitely got some spice to it, some white pepper, maybe a little bit of black pepper in there too, a little spicier than just white pepper. The white pepper, it tends to be a little more, think of it like actual white pepper. It's a little more powdery. It seems to be a little more intense yet light at the same time, if you understand that. It doesn't have the hotness that, the hot spiciness that a black pepper would. It's a little more mild, but at the same time more filling. It's a fuller spice without being so hot. So I would think in a cigar, the white pepper would be a more sought after attribute than the black pepper. But to get the occasional blast of black pepper would be fine. Adds a little complexity to the cigar. That cumin spice was actually pretty nice early on. It was very, very mild. Would have been nice to see a little bit more of that. Getting a little more smoke out of it now than did in the first 2/3 of the cigar. It's still burning nicely. A little bit of smoke coming off it, but like I said, there's more smoke coming off it now than there was during the first 2/3 just sitting here. And when I draw on it, I'm getting a fuller smoke to come through as well. A little bit of leather in there. Yeah, very slight hint of pencil lead. Not much. Once again, I would think that a pencil lead taste would be a negative attribute to a cigar, but in very, very small quantities, just simply adds to the complexity and doesn't really take away from the overall experience. And that's what I'm getting here, just a very, very slight amount. Only lasted for a puff or two. Initially, I thought that I would not be nubbing this. However, I'm starting to pick up a little more complexity as I approach the nub. And I may go ahead and nub it just to see what I get out of the nub. The nub may very well be the sweet spot on this cigar, the piece de resistance, as it were. But we'll see what happens. Overall, a pleasant smoke. As I said, I was a little disappointed in it just because of the sour grapefruit that I got through the majority of the cigar. It wasn't overpowering on the sourness, but that's an attribute that I don't care for. There are several attributes that I don't care for in cigars. The sour grapefruit would be one, cardboard would be another, and pencil lead would be another. I do like when I pick up a little bit of earth, a little bit of mineral. I'm not getting that from this cigar. No earth and no mineral. I didn't get any cardboard, but I did get a little bit of the sour grapefruit on the finish and a little bit of pencil lead for a very short time on the finish. As I said, I've chosen to drink cognac with this cigar to kind of cleanse the palate. So as to ensure that maybe maybe my senses are becoming overrun with the initial nuances and flavors that this had to offer. Kind of washes the palate. Gives you a fresh start the next time you draw. Let the vapors from the alcohol kind of linger in my mouth after I've swallowed. Let that little burn to the tongue. And I take that and I let it exhale through my sinuses, kind of clear my sinuses. Let it wash around on my cheeks, on the inside of my cheeks, trying to cleanse everything, cleanse the entire palate. While the alcohol is still fresh in my mouth, I'll inhale through my mouth, try to draw it down in the back of my throat until I feel it kind of burn in the lung a little bit. In an attempt to cleanse all I can cleanse so that this next puff will be like a fresh start, but at the end of the cigar. kind of swish the cognac around in my mouth a little bit, let it coat my cheeks, my teeth, roof of my mouth. Here we go. First puff since I've cleansed my palate at the end of the cigar. Did it work? Yes. I'm picking up a lot of the same flavors, but they're refreshed. They've come to me anew, a little stronger. The leather is a little more pronounced. There's something else lingering there. Haven't quite pinpointed it. A little bit of spice on the exhale. A little stronger than white pepper. Maybe a very mild, something Cajun maybe. Some Cajun spice in there. But a mild Cajun. Not real powerful on the Cajun. A little bit there. Pleasant. This video went a little differently than planned. I would have liked to have done this without any interruption. For one, just go the whole way through. I was hoping to maybe instead of stopping and doing this in 3 segments and posting part 1, part 2, and part 3, for example, just pause it and continue once I got to a certain point in the cigar, hit play again, and have it all be on one file. That's not going to happen there, as there's really no pause on this. There's just a stop, and when I hit stop, it saves that file. When I record again, it's a separate file. So this will once again be in more than one file. Another thing that happened that I didn't want to have happen was surrounding noises. My wife came home, car driving up the driveway, the dog started barking. Wife came out, started talking to me in the middle of the video, and she knew I was videoing, but and then she came out with a glass of wine and sat down and started talking to me, and I paused the tape, paused the video here. But so there are some other noises in the background that I didn't want, but such is life. I don't live alone, and in order to keep the peace, I don't want to really isolate myself completely from everyone else. Try to keep everybody happy. I hope to, in future videos, maybe do some interviews with tobacco retailers, my local tobacconist particularly. Real nice guy. I don't know if he would be receptive to me filming and getting him involved at all and posting him on YouTube. I don't know. See what happens. I have to come up with a list of questions. A good interview, something that people will enjoy, something that will be informative. We'll see what happens. I may include some other things in these videos as well. You know, I've mentioned lightly about various things that I drink, whether it be the cognac or a specific beer, or you know, the coffee that I'm drinking at the time, or whatever. Just see what happens. And as you can see, I'm down, pretty much down to the nub here. I'm going to go ahead and flick that ash off. It's probably, that's a good 1.5 inches, roughly. Flick it off. That's what I have left. The wrapper has held up superbly. No issues at all whatsoever. No signs of it coming unraveled. The cap has held. Often, even if it doesn't come unraveled, the cap will just start to fall apart, and the tobacco will start to fall out, and I'll be, spitting little bits of tobacco out. Haven't had to do that. Everything's been going really well with the cigar, other than it's damp out. Like I said, 99% humidity. It's been raining. At the moment, I think it stopped raining, it looks like. But you can feel it in the air. It's quite damp. Starting to make my nose run a little bit because it's cool out. So, I'm definitely at the nub here. Not a whole lot left of this. I'll take my last few puffs and nub it out. We'll go from there. Thanks for watching.